Okay, welcome. This is You Did What podcast with Bobby and Serenity Britton, and today we have a very special guest, Steve Alexander. He and I have known each other for quite a few years, and wow, he's done some really crazy, amazing stuff. Steve, how are you?
I'm excellent, Bobby, and we met about 21 years ago, and you were a young officer candidate, and I was an old TAC officer, and I'm even older, and you look the same. Good job, way to go.
Yeah, I definitely feel older. 21 years is a long
Yeah,
time.
I was old back then. I can't imagine it now. I turned 69 next month, which
What?
is crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. Um,
Yeah, I was an old lieutenant. I was old second lieutenant, 31 years old. So
gotcha.
that's how that worked out.
Well, we really appreciate you being on the show today, and the catchphrase of the show is "You did what?" And as we go through stuff, I have a feeling you're going to come up with something that one of us is going to be like, "Wow!" And we're going to talk about that in depth. But the whole premise of the show is we just want to talk to people and hear their stories, and ask them some questions and just have a good conversation. Should take about 20 minutes, and glad to have you here.
Forward to it. This will be fun.
All right, you want to ask the first one? Uh-oh, I think you hit the wrong. There we go.
There we go. Okay. Uh, you are a producer, screenwriter, author, and lawyer. How in the world did you have time for all of that?
Well, this goes back to my Army career. I ended up doing 28 years in the Army, and some of it was active duty, some in the Guard and Reserve and all of that. But I retired in 2011, and, my situation was that I could, work part time. I still work part time out at Fort Irwin, California, training soldiers for deployment. And so I'm actually broadcasting from Fort Irwin right now. I'm right here on the base, and actually about 30 yards from me, the coyote is resting in the shade. So what I live in. But I just made time. I'm in a situation where I've got the greatest job in the world, training soldiers still, even after all these years. Puts my 39th year associated with the military one way, shape, or another. And I'm just and I'm just a driven individual. I'm not the guy that goes home and sits on the couch and watches football and watches. That's not true. I do watch a lot of football. I'm a big football fan. But other than that, I've never seen the Housewives of Fort Irwin or any of the other TV shows out there, and so I've got a lot of time on my hands. I'm very productive to the level that people think I'm a little bit crazy, but I like that. That's me.
No, that means you get a lot of things done. So, speaking of which, tell us about your latest production.
Well, we had him. Let's do a quick start. Let's backtrack about a few years ago, when again those agents were telling me that my novels were too much war mixed with too much romance and whatever else it might have been. So I got into screenwriting. But one of the first movies I made was a movie called Another Plan from Outer Space. You can actually see it on TV. Just Another Plan from Outer Space. It actually won the James Bond, the third sci-fi film festival. I
That's
was
awesome.
executive in that and heavily involved in the production. We filmed that down near 29 Palms,
Huh.
and in fact, it looks a lot like the Martian surface, a little bit, and a little bit of American surface. But I won't do any spoilers there. But that movie won a film festival. I made another movie that was called Crossing the Line about a hitman, and it was Iraqi hitman joins up with a Hispanic hitman underneath a a cartel leader, a guy like me, a criminal cartel. I played the bad guy, and so I've got these
Wait, so
hitmen, and they.
wait, you starred in the production that you did?
Oh well, yeah, oh yeah. I've been in a few of them, and we'll get into that. Yes, sir. Oh yeah, oh
Huh.
yeah. I've been. You can find me on screen in quite a few movies. There's Lionsgate, Room 9. I play a kind of a crazy repair shop owner, and you know, and I'm coming up. I'm going to be playing an astro. I won't talk much about it, but that's the next movie. That's the sequel to Another Plan. So as you can see, I have I'm just all over the place, and then but I'm able to channel all at one point into the same direction. But yeah, so I've got three different movies that have won three different film festivals in three different genres. The last one we did called The Tasmanian Devil, about a fighter from Florida that got recruited by a club owner in Chicago back in the late 90s. And that movie actually won 8 awards in the Toronto Independent Film Festival of CIST.
Hmm.
So we're making quality movies and not just, that kind of thing. So And I've got some movies coming up this summer. I've worked some with a couple of veteran films called PTSD, A Soldier's Revenge, that has a lot of military and veteran presence in it. And that movie we're finishing up this summer, but a lot of that's already been filmed. And then there's just a lot on the plate, Serenity. There really is. It's just, but I'm just, I don't waste time. I mean, to me, relaxing is sitting down for an hour and writing 8 pages of script or 20. I just say, hey, the Energizer bunny writer. I may be old, but I never grew up.
Well, well, I heard that you have a daughter that is a RN. So has she been in any of your movies?
Not at all. But if we ever get in the medical realm, I'll certainly have her be a technical advisor as to those kinds of things. But now she is an RN in Oklahoma City there, and she was right in the thick of the whole COVID thing as it went, basically through the country, and just for all the crazy stuff I did in the military, she lived with that threat every day, and was all suited up more than I ever was in chemical gear for the Army and so on and so forth. But yeah, and then I've got a son that's actually in his mid 40s now, and he lives down in Florida, and he's a businessman.
Where at in Florida?
Fort Myers.
Okay, yeah, I know where it's at. I grew up in Florida.
Oh, okay. Well, but you were California Guard when you were in OCS, right?
Yeah, so I left. So I grew up near Tampa and joined the Marine Corps and went out to California and never left.
Okay.
Yeah,
what else you got? What else
So,
you got?
How many times did you deploy?
Twice. I actually got wounded the first time in 2004. I was a senior advisor to an Iraqi brigade, and we were at a base out in the middle of nowhere called Al-Kisik, if that name might ring a bell with you. It was out near the town of Talafar. And we had a base with, 3,200 Iraqi soldiers and about 8 of us Army guys in our unit. And then there were a couple other Army guys and a couple Marines. And just one day they brought the suicide bombers in the water tankers. And after I got knocked around on that one, and then a little bit later they brought in the rocket mortar attack. If you ever want to see any photos, I can send you all kinds. And then I got wounded, so I actually came back to the States, and then I had to have a little bit of eye surgery, and I'd lost all my hearing in my left ear. Anyway, I went back in 2010 to a tour over in Camp Arif John, Kuwait, because they said, could I couldn't hear radio anymore. They didn't want me anywhere near combat. Say, I'm sorry. Did you say fire? What?
Yeah.
So they kept me away from the serious stuff. But I ended up in some really, really cool missions. Working, in Kuwait and Oman, and sneaking MRAPs into Afghanistan and stuff like that.
So a suicide bomber hit your base and you were wounded?
Oh, yeah. 2 of them did, actually 10 seconds apart. And I was in the first suicide bomber hit the Iraqi dining facility, and a lot of people lost their lives over there. And then the second one was over by their headquarters building, and that's where they got me 10 seconds later. And it's ironic. I was 50 years old in 363 days, August 7th. Got the anniversary coming up here, actually, so we had 2 of them hit, and offline me, or I'll send you. It was very heavily photographed, in the after effects. All the, we didn't have any. There was no defensive perimeter. There were no walls. It was just like putting Disneyland out in the middle of the desert, and anybody in and there was an entrance. So that's the best way to describe that.
Yeah, I bet that was pretty scary.
Yeah, it was fascinating. It was, and it was kind of surreal, like a movie, but it was very real. And we later on the U.S. Army came to help us out. But for one of the highlights of my military career was a Marine captain, wonderful guy, and tried to keep up with him over the years. One of the things he says, Colonel Alexander, all the ammo has been distributed to all the Americans. You know where your position is. Because they figured what happened after the rockets mortars, there was a rumor that a bunch of terrorists were basically up in just down the road in this town of Talafar. We were coming to finish the job, but they never showed up, and we held the ground. So
how far away from Baghdad was that?
Pardon?
How far away from Baghdad was?
I was way up north, about 30 miles west of Mosul.
Oh wow, you were almost up by the Syrian border.
Yeah, we called it the Wild Wild West. In the early days, we were doing convoys and Nissan pickup trucks and all kinds of crazy stuff.
There was a lot of Kurds up there, right?
Yeah, up in the northeast, especially.
Yeah.
yeah, so we're certainly it. You know, politically, we could just go crazier and talk for hours and hours and hours. I expect, and we all have our perspectives. But those were some amazing days.
Well, I have a few more questions. So,
Sure.
the first one is how many backflips could you do?
Uh, One, and then you'd have to call for a medic, probably. That's that. Yeah, probably half of one. I'm not sure. And at my age now and all this stuff, I get shots in my shoulder, I get shots in my knees because my knees are all worn out, my shoulders worn out, and all that type of stuff. And I could do 2 miles still on a bicycle. So there you go.
That's good.
Yeah. In the old days, your old man and I used to have to run that, and for our age, it was like 17 minutes or 16 or whatever, and. I looking back, I don't know how in the world I did that, but then again, I weighed 20 pounds less than I weigh now too, so that helps.
Yes. Yeah.
You know that feeling too.
Yes, I do. Hey, so
Really?
I was Facebook stalking you, and I saw this picture of you at a radio station in like 1975. What was that?
Yes, I graduated from college in 1975, and I always wanted to be a broadcaster. I was always kind of a shy kid, a little bit on the insecure side, but for some reason, you put me in front of a microphone or a camera, the shyness went away, and I can't explain that. I had a radio career for a while, and a little bit later, I got into the military, and that was that. But I always wanted to be a broadcaster, and yes, that was my look. A mere 42 years ago. I can't even do the math, something like that. So, but yeah, that was. And then for actually a while before 9/11, I had a show out of. Cable radio network right out of Los Angeles.
Really?
It was a radio that you can hear, and it was video streamed at the same time. I had a show. It's called Major Ripster and the B Team. We had our own little theme. Instead of in the year 2000, a crack commando was sentenced by a military court for a crime he did not commit. He escaped into the radio underground, where today he's a soldier of entertainment. If you have a song request, no one will play it. A lot of that type of stuff. So I had this talk show that went from about 11 at night till about 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was wondering, it was the greatest job in the world. And I broadcast we had a studio in Vegas and in LA up in Sunland at the time, and also Colorado Springs. And then, one thing about, your dad, Serenity, think about this, is that he graduated from Oster's Kennedy School in August, I expect.
Yeah,
And all of
2001.
a sudden, a month later, or whatever it was, 9/11 happened. And so, we had all these officer candidates, and they're all second lieutenants, and who knows what's next. And all of a sudden, everybody's life changed about 3 weeks later. Mine certainly did.
Yes.
I went from 11 to 3 o'clock in the morning. It's 24/7 with the U.S. Army. So that's how my life changed.
So you were actually a paid radio personality?
Oh yeah. I had a regular show and all of that type stuff. Yeah. That was a lot of fun. I'll have to send you some old CDs and DVDs if you can still play them. And but yeah, sure was fun stuff.
Fun. So, how did you come up with the name Six Rivers?
That was there were a lot of names I wanted to have, but they were all taken already. There was a bunch of them, and then I just started thinking about 6 rivers that that I've been close to. The Tigris and Euphrates were a couple of them, the Mississippi, and I'm an old classic monster movie fan, so I had the Amazon River in there, and you got the Nile, the Creature of the Black Lagoon, and the Nile and the Mummy, and it was just a name I could find, and it's kind of catchy. It's you can't forget it, kind of, sort of. And then now. And back in those days, I was more of a movie producer. In addition to writing the scripts and doing all that other stuff, I was doing the producer job, which your dad will say is a little bit like being an operations officer. You got to, where are they going to eat? Where are they going to sleep? Where are they going to do all of this stuff? And I kind of wanted to, just a little while ago, I decided I want to focus solely on writing and acting. So that's when I came up with the new company. That's my new website. Is Quill Team 6. I take off a SEAL team, of course. Quill Team 6 LLC.com. And that's the one you look up, www.quill, Quill, team6llc.com. And that focuses much more on my writing and all of the stuff I'm trying to do there, rather than, it just became so much work. It was like I now got to worry about, the limo getting the guy at the airport, getting him in his hotel, making sure the salad's organic or whatever it might be. And all of
Yeah.
that stuff are just, that was no fun at all. It became work. And so the creative side, I can rewrite history to where I want it to work out, or I could just, be really creative and come up with stuff altogether different.
So just want to make sure we understand everything
Yeah.
that you have going on. So you own a movie production company.
Yeah.
Now you own basically a screenwriting company.
Yeah, it's a script factory, I call it, and I've got 30 plus scripts registered to the Writers Guild of America. Now,
Okay.
if you know screenwriters, we can really do business, Serenity, and let your dad be involved with us too.
I
That's
like it. And then
Yeah.
you're also a consultant for the military.
Yep.
And then it sounds like you dabble on the side, still doing some radio stuff.
I just a little bit here and there, but nothing on any kind of steady basis. But one thing I would say is never let me work on your car. I cannot set up your timer on your VHS player. Don't let me anywhere near the bank account because I can't do math. So God gave me a lot of strengths, and he was smart enough for me to learn my weaknesses before I caused myself too much trouble.
Do you
But
ever sleep?
Yeah, I get my good 6, 7 hours a night, 7 or 8 maybe. But just my problem is I'll hit. I may go to bed at 9. I go to sleep at 11 because in my head I've written another script, or whatever it might be, and then it's just I'm just a driven individual. I can't explain it other than just there's no slowing me down.
That's
Right.
awesome.
Yeah. Well, have you ever had to kick someone off set?
Oh, there's times I've wanted to. Oh, but they made more money than me, so that was hard to do. So,
Yeah.
but I work a lot in what's called independent films, where there's a lot of cooperation there, and so on and so forth, and there are situations where I've seen people be sent home, and that's because they just complain all the time, and if you're not part of the answer, you're part of the problem. And so like any good operation, you need to have team players and people that are for everybody, all for one and one for all type people.
All right. So you said you've written some scripts. How many have you actually written?
I have 30 registered with Writers Guild of America. 30.
You've written
Yes, sir.
33 scripts.
30 plus, and I'm working on others all the time. Again, if you take a look at that Quill Team 6 LLC.com, you can read a little bit of a synopsis of each one, and I write a lot of military romance adventure and a lot of military as well, just simply because you can if from your experiences and mine, I'm sure there's things that if you could change it, then you would have changed what happened, the outcome or whatever. You can do that with a movie script. You can make I've got one of my movies where I locked up a full colonel I knew. He gets locked up in a shipping container overnight because he's just just trying to get his people hurt. So
Oh, man. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've actually thought about doing something like that.
dinner business, so we could have. We do need to get together. I'm up at Fort Irwin. You're down there in Huntington Beach area, or
Yep.
where you at?
Yep, Huntington
Right.
Beach.
Yeah.
Somewhere I think halfway is either North El Cajon Pass, and we ought to get together just for old time's sake. 21 years, that'd be pretty special.
No, I totally agree.
But what other questions you got for me?
Okay.
Good.
Have you ever been starstruck, as in someone like you admire or idolize?
As a youngster, yes. As a guy now that's been around movie actors and such, not so much. But as a young guy, sure, absolutely. And this not so much, because it's one thing that's amazing. We see actors on screen in a role, and they may not be anything like that person, and that catches you off guard. You think that, God, what a great, wonderful person, and then where's my ride, what, just and so on and so forth. So not to break your heart or anything, but just with actors, what they're doing on screen isn't necessarily who they are. Like, you hear about TV actors that they can't stand each other, but because they're making $300,000 a month or whatever, they can put up with anything. And so and for $300,000 a month, I could put up with anything. So Sign me up. Sign me up.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what has been the scariest thing you've done, but on the military side and then on the movie side, and which one was actually scarier?
Oh, absolutely. On the military side, we were up in northern Iraq. It was 2004. We were doing convoys in Nissan pickup trucks in enemy territory, and I'm right-handed, and I'm riding a shotgun with my, you know, M16 out the side window with some Arabic headgear over my head, just probably just a bigger target, but I think just that, and then you get initially the rockets and the mortars will get your attention, and then the scary part is sooner or later you get acclimated to them, and
Wait,
that's
so
kind of
you did what? You were riding around in Arab gear?
oh well, just to cover my helmet, so I didn't have I had my American helmet. I just had
But in a
the
civilian truck.
yeah, and the Nissan pickup trucks, and that's all we had. One time a general came up from Baghdad and said, why aren't you out running patrols? Where your Humvees parked, sir? Those are Humvees. And he looked at the white Nissan pickup trucks that had the little red marker, then a little bigger red marker. I mean, just like they had targets on them. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, those I expect. So, yeah, so there, it was just, I believe in the big guy upstairs. I wouldn't be out of Iraq alive if not for divine intervention. And so, in that regard, I'm a man of faith, and I've always believed. But Jesus and I probably got a little closer on that trip to Iraq, and so obviously just the unknowns, but probably Iraq, and then the movie side, just what happened on that movie set, and I won't even mention the name, where somebody got shot by a gun that should or should not have, whatever, all that. So
You were on
I'm
that
lucky.
set?
Yeah. Oh, remember the Rust movie
Yeah,
when
yeah.
when
You were on that set?
yeah. No, not at all, not at all.
Oh,
But just I've been around some Western sets where you know, but nothing compared to the days probably you had in Iraq and Afghanistan, and my experiences. That those are in a category all by themselves. Those are, and I'm sure you know that too.
yeah, indeed.
Well, what would you do as a career if you weren't a movie producer or author?
What else would I do?
What would you do as a career if you weren't a movie producer or a writer?
Probably just keep on doing what I'm doing. Again, I'm trying to get discovered. I work in a world where my movies aren't real famous like the ones that come out of the studios in LA, but my goal is to just keep writing scripts, and sooner or later that somebody says that's a really cool script. Here's X amount of money and we're going to make a movie, and then I'll say I want to be in it and I want a percentage. So that kind of thing. So that's pretty much I would just keep doing what I'm doing. Again, I'm retiring from movie producing because that's just too much work. Saying, now okay, hotel's booked. Now we got to move them down to another hotel, and they need their, here's their grocery list, and so I want to leave that world behind and let the younger, tough, hungry producers go after that kind of work, and I just want to sit back and be the old wise script writer.
That's awesome. What's your most favorite script that you've written?
Honestly, it's called Share the Land.
Okay.
And what about 5 military veterans? You helped me get it made, sir. It's about 5 military veterans that are down on their luck. One of them's homeless. They've got, just their lives have been rough. They went to war. They went to war many times, and now they're in the aftermath. But a philanthropist, a really wonderful lady, has decided she wants to help rhinos in Africa and just help all the endangered animals over in Africa. So she gets with a friend of some former CIA guy that they put together a team, and they go find these guys they're looking for, and they go over to Africa to train the park rangers. And it turns out that instead of having 200 people to train, 25 guys show up, and the mission immediately goes from a training mission for the in the country of Kalango, and it becomes a combat mission against a warlord named Shaminga, who's trafficking ivory and just hurting animals. And that's one thing in my life is I'm incredibly compassionate about animals, and I guess I'm so jaded, if that's the right word, that human, I need to probably get an adjustment on that. But it's like in a movie with one of the major actors, 20, 30 people get shot, nobody says a thing. But you watch a movie where a dog dies, you know,
Yep.
boom, I cry like a baby.
This
So
one right here, she starts getting so upset and crying
Yep.
when she hears animals get hurt.
well, me and you, Serenity, we're on the same page, completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Like, it's been good catch up, and I really just had no idea the breadth and scope of what you're doing. Like, all the movies you got and all the scripts you have. I do want to catch up with you another time.
Well, let's do that for sure, Bobby, and Serenity. Thank you very much. If you would just let me know if this is going to be rebroadcast here and there and wherever. I've got 7 grandkids that I'd be glad to let them know when to watch it. And if I may, Serenity, how old are you?
13.
13. I've got a granddaughter that's just a little bit older than you, and a couple younger, and then 3 in their 20s now, grandkids. So crazy.
Yep, Serenity's driven. She's got her own business. We're doing this podcast.
That's great.
I took her to Stanford this year to do a campus walk because she wants to go to their medical center to be a surgeon.
Well, there you go then. All right then. So, see, I would make it as far as well, I wouldn't last 10 minutes in a hospital. That's a special kind of human being that can go do that medical stuff. Of all the great things I've done in my life, and I've just been getting by, but my daughter, the nurse, she saved 100 lives, and the ones she couldn't save, everyone is tough. And so God bless you for you wanting to do that. That's really noble, and you should be really proud of your daughter there, sir.
I absolutely am. So
Thank you.
cool. I will reach out to you in a couple days and let you know where we're gonna post this, and you and I can link up at a later date.
Request permission to carry on, Colonel.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
All right. See you guys. Take
Bye.
care.
Bye-bye.